Hello, Danvers, and welcome to the Select Board Candidate Forum for this year's election. I really appreciate you joining us. I'm Greg Dolan. I'm the Executive Director here at DCAT, and we are very kindly joined by the 4 candidates for Select Board, as well as Erin Nolan, reporter for the Salem News. So the way today is going to work is each candidate will have a chance to do an introductory statement, as well as a concluding statement. We drew the order for those before we got on the air. And then we're going to move right on into the question and answer portion. The questions will be supplied by Erin Nolan from the Salem News, and each candidate will have 90 seconds to answer the questions. This is a reminder about the election itself. That is coming up on Tuesday, May 4th. Polls open at 7 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. That'll be at Danvers High School. And if you're wondering how the election goes, we'll also be live on the air that night. So if you follow us on our Facebook page, DCAT Danvers, we'll jump on as soon as the unofficial results come out, and we'll let you know how it went. So before we get into it, just thanks again so much to the candidates. This is a really great service to the community and to the voters. It's important that the voters are as informed as possible going into the polls, and when they cast their ballot, they're going in knowing who they're voting for and what their platform is. So thank you so much to the candidates. I'm going to turn to everyone now, and we're going to get started shortly. Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thanks for jumping on. So before we started, we did draw the order for the introductory statements out of a hat, and Gardner Trask, the incumbent candidate, will be up first. So studio, everyone ready in there? We're going to begin now. So Gardner, take it away. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Gardner Trask, and on May 4th, I respectfully ask for one of your votes to return me to the Danvers Select Board. I've had the honor, the privilege, and the pride to have served you as a citizen volunteer for 2 decades, 15 years of them as a member of the Danvers Select Board. Tonight, you are being asked to choose from 4 candidates, and you are trying to determine which one best represents you. I am in a fortunate position because I have 15 years of public voting record that you can look at and make that decision about. My future decisions will not be unknown. I have made literally thousands of votes that you can look to. You already know how I vote on significant townwide issues like funding the high school, the middle school, and Smith School, as well as the dispatch center and other capital projects. How I'll handle protecting historic buildings and my work on the Affordable Trust. You already know how I'll tackle smaller, yet no less more important issues like dredging the river, or dedicating the Brad Purcell Skateboard Park or Miriam Cooper Peach Orchard, and my work on the rail trail and Swamp Walk. And you know how I will handle myself in times of crisis. 6 months into my first term, the port explosion happened. And I happened to have been chair when calling the tragedy happened. And I stood with the town administration and other select board members to rebuild and help make us Danvers strong. Tonight's debate is important for you to hear how all the candidates see the town's future. So I thank DCAT and the Salem News. Thank you very much.
All right, great. Thank you, Gardner. Next up for the introductory statement will be Matthew Duggan. So Matthew, it looks like the timer is reset. So whenever you're ready, you can begin. Thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, Danvers. My name is Matthew Duggan, and I'm a candidate for your select board. A little bit about myself. I grew up in Goshen, New York, which is a real onion town. It's about 50 miles north of Manhattan. And I moved to the Boston area after high school and worked in construction for a few years. And then I returned to school, UMass Boston for an undergraduate degree, and then to Bentley grad school. I moved to Danvers in 2000. I live on Chase Street, corner of Bayview by Plains Park. And I moved here while I was working for Bell Atlantic Yellow Pages up on the hill next to Ferncroft. I've been in the IT, the information technology field for more than 30 years as a software engineer and as a project manager. And for the past 14 years, I've been supporting the Blue Cross of Mass website. In terms of contributions to the town, I've been involved in the community. Since shortly after I moved here, I became a board member and a VP of the Danvers Bipeds. They were the group that initiated the effort to build the rail trail through Danvers. And for people who have lived here for many years know that there was a very contentious issue back 15 years ago. I've been also a board member of the Family Festival, with the Oldies Night and the ad book. And for the past 15 years, I've been a town meeting member here in Precinct 1. So I'm glad that you joined to watch this forum, and I hope that it is valuable for you. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Next up, we have Tim Donahue, another select board candidate. So as soon as you're ready, Tim, you can just unmute yourself and begin. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tim Donahue, another candidate for the select board. Thank you, DCAT and Greg, for having us here. I just want to say I'm very happy to be here amongst 4 great candidates for the select board. A little bit about myself. I own a small business, a home, and I absolutely love raising my family here in Danvers. I grew up in Ipswich. I went to school at Bishop Fenwick, and right after that, I started a professional career in retail. I started in the Danvers locations at 2 major companies and worked my way up through supervisor and management positions, ultimately until my wife got pregnant. We own a home here in Danvers. We got married here in Danvers, and I have 2 kids who go to school here in Danvers. I am here part of the community. My company works here, keeps me rooted in, talking to everybody. I have the freedom to do whatever is needed around here, and I really want to represent the town because I am here with you. My managed experience is extremely applicable to being on the select board because I know what's going on with budgeting. I know how to work with the community, and I know how to work with employees. So I really am looking forward to working with one of the other 3 gentlemen here, and I can't wait to see where things can go. Thanks, Greg.
All right, thank you very much. Last up for this section, we'll have Rick Bettencourt, our next select board candidate. Thank you, Rick, for being patient and being last, but we are ready to go. You'll have the first concluding remark. Don't worry, we'll flip the order at the end. So thanks, everyone. You've been really great about this. Rick, you're up whenever you're ready.
Hey, Danvers, it's Rick Bettencourt, and I want to thank you all very much, all of our candidates here for attending. It's always it's putting your hat in the ring is not easy, and I appreciate everybody's decision to do that. I've been in Danvers long enough to know that public service is near and dear to my heart, and I believe I bring a lot of applicable both local and federal experience to help with the governing of the town. A little bit about me as far as my professional experience goes. I've been in the financial real estate mortgage business for 18 years. On top of that, I was a national president for the national nonprofit 501c6 National Association of Mortgage Brokers, where I did a lot of federal policy, regulation, mortgage compliance, interpretation, bill reading. And it's very helpful to have that experience and then have that transcend into a local environment. I've been a town meeting member here for 9 years. I've been an outspoken town meeting member every town meeting since then on various budget issues. I'm not afraid to get in front of a crowd and convey my ideas and my concepts, my theories, and my beliefs. I was a board of director for DCAT as a vice chair for almost 5 years. I was the library trustee for the Peabody Library here in Danvers, one of the most beautiful properties that we have, actually. I was a board of trustee there for about 4.5 years, volunteered in the Deep Committee. I also bring 5.5 years of Conservation Commission experience from when I was a Concom member in the city of Peabody. So I have, I believe, an incredibly well-rounded sort of skill set here that I think is going to be incredibly helpful as we move Danvers forward. I'm running on term limits. I'm only doing 3 terms. I'm going to be an advocate for the Beverly Airport as far as the constituents there that are having a hard time with that. I want to be in part of the Chapter 40R Maple Street overlay as we redevelop downtown, and overall help our small businesses in downtown come out of the pandemic and become much more economically successful. So I look forward to your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. So we're going to transition to the next part of this program. Thank you again for Erin Nolan for joining us today. She's a reporter over at the Salem News. And Erin, if you could go ahead with the first question, and just as a reminder to the candidates, we'll be rotating the order on each question. So Matthew Duggan, you are up first for this one. Thank you. Erin, take it away.
Yeah, so what was and continues to be the toll that the pandemic has taken on local businesses in town, and what role do these businesses play in the community? And what role do you think the select board plays in helping those small businesses bounce back after the pandemic?
Thank you for your question, Erin. I think probably the most noticeable impact is with the restaurant industry. We know that we've seen large layoffs in that field, and I think that's kind of what we can actually empirically see. I know that we've been kind of cloistered in our homes for the past year, most of us. I think the town has provided support services. For example, the Board of Health has offered guidance to allow some restaurants to open and do the distancing. They've also allowed them to give them special permission to move outside onto the sidewalks in nicer weather. And I believe they've also done things like grant writing and obtaining some of the loans that aren't required to be paid back. So there's not a whole lot that we can do at a local level and financially, but we can offer support services to ensure that they are continue to be viable for the community.
All right, thank you very much, Matthew. So next up for this question will be Tim Donahue. So Tim, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead.
So, oh boy, the pandemic. It's been one heck of a year that we have all lived through. Me personally, as owning a business, we shut down for the beginning. We followed the mandates that the governor had given us, and we went through the struggles that virtually every small business did, trying to figure out, one, how to survive, two, how to keep our employees safe, three, how to keep ourselves safe when we head back to our families, four, how to deal with the financial burden, five, how are we going to deal with the shipping delays and the manufacturing non-existence that happened for a while. Past that, it's just been a total toll on everybody. And as a family, my children had to deal with not being in school last year, coming up this year, learning what was necessary to get into school. Teaching a 6-year-old that they have to wear a mask all day long is a difficult thing. But overcoming this has been a good experience, seeing the positive where we can go, keeping each other safe, seeing each other on the other end of this has been something that I praise. I look forward, as a select board member, I would love to see the town hall open sooner than later. I'd love to see us ease a lot of restrictions. And although there are things that I feel we could have done, I'm happy with how the town has acted to keep everybody as safe as possible. I know neighboring towns, when restaurants first opened, Ipswich is offering about a $1,500 credit to restaurants.
Sorry, Tim, I'm gonna have to interrupt you. You're just right at the 1:30. I just want to keep everyone on time so we can finish in time. Yeah. But I will encourage any candidates who do not get to finish their answers just to take note. You'll have 2 minutes at the end for concluding remarks, and you can certainly pick it up then. So, Rick, you are going to be up next for this question. So take it away when you're ready.
Great question, Aaron. I think the small businesses are vital to. Stop the clock, guys. Also, wait. There you go. Small businesses are vital to the town of Danvers. They fall under the local receipts part of our budget, which it's been a second most largest revenue piece for Danvers behind the tax levy, and we've got to do whatever we can to encourage our businesses, encourage our constituents as well to get out and start shopping local again. I know when the pandemic first happened, I came up with an idea that I didn't expect it to run 12 months. I went out to every business. I took a picture of every business that was on town and on all the different streets in downtown and wanted to kind of do a blitz or a push. I was hoping that the pandemic would be over 90 days, 6 months, but it is what it is. And we are 14 months into it. So the presence of our local businesses and I've been downtown for 14 years at our spot. I got in there in 2007 and I've seen numerous businesses come in, come out, and I think that we can do better. It was great that Danvers started that local buy local or eat out Tuesday, I think it was. So I compliment the town for doing that. That was phenomenal. However, we could do more. And 54% of all Danvers residents have now received their first dose. I think second dose, we're pushing about 35%. And I think it's time that we can start encouraging people to shop out more frequently, get out there more often, use more of the time that you have with your families to support our local businesses. And hopefully we can bring our numbers up for local receipts next year in our budgetary process and make it a little bit easier. But I think Danvers can do a little bit more.
All right, thank you, Rick. So last up for this question, Gardner Trask. Whenever you're ready, Gardner, we are ready on our end. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the question. Of course, COVID has affected Danvers, the nation, the world, and we're just coming out of that shadow. When we focus on Danvers, the selectmen have already been working, and I've been spearheading some efforts to help the businesses recover because they were most affected. I did my background. I did some homework on the local towns and cities and what they've been doing. I brought to the select board a request to forego the 2021 liquor license fees for those restaurants that were closed during the pandemic, and the select board agreed. We've been working on 40R to help revitalize downtown and not make it only a business location, but a living location where people can actually live downtown. And we've been working on innovative ways to reuse parts of the square to encourage dining. There'll be a temporary area that we're working on in front of CVS to encourage people to sit down and dine. We do have to help the citizens. We have to safely reopen the library and town hall in a manner that is safe for not only the visitors, but the staff. There are real and effective things the selectmen can do and consider to help rebuild Danvers as it emerges from the COVID pandemic. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Gardner. So, Erin, we are going to jump back over to you, and we're going to go with our second question. For this question, we'll start with Tim Donahue, and we'll proceed in the same order, just so you're all prepared. Thank you.
So the town did bring in significantly less money this year as a direct result of the pandemic. Is that something that the town is going to have to make up? And how do you expect the select board to go about doing that? And what are some ways to bring in revenue to the town this year?
Okay, thank you, Erin. So we're ready in the background. So Tim, whenever you're ready, go ahead. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Erin. So the town did see some downfalls in the income, but I think that can mostly be overcome by a platform that I've been running on for the past 2 years, and that's fiscal responsibility. I think we need to control what we spend. We need to keep, obviously, our most important things in this town that we're known for, and that's everything from the police and fire departments all the way down to our waterways and our parks. We do some great things here in Danvers, but we do need to watch every penny that we spend. It seems like we always have a budget that hits the max of what we can get before we get into the Prop 2.5. I would like to see us really pay attention to what we're spending our money on, instead of really looking at how much we can tax and then filling up to that. As I've said, that's a platform I've been running on for 2 years, and I absolutely believe in fiscal responsibility. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Tim. Next up for this question will be Rick Bettencourt. So as soon as we get the timer reset over here, we're ready. So
Good.
Rick, you can take it away whenever you're ready. Thank you.
Solid questions, Erin. And the actual budget from 2020 showed local receipts around 12.4 million. Actuals for 2021, we're not sure what's going to happen when we finally do all the tabulations. So we're going to be projecting local receipts of about 11.5 moving forward. So I think overall we're going to be down about $700,000-800,000. As far as what we could do as a community to try to bring those receipts and those numbers back in, we've seen Danvers spend a lot of time, money, effort, resources into revitalizing downtown to get more people into our town. We have several awesome local public parking areas, but very difficult for people to find them sometimes, or it's just a little bit harder to locate those. So if we can do a better job downtown as far as identifying those public parking areas, encouraging people to come to downtown Danvers, walk around, spend money in our local downtown businesses, I think you're going to see an increase in local receipts. As far as the fiscal responsibility of our town goes, Wayne Markey set this town up to be run very, very well. He did a phenomenal job. If you look at the budget that was put together this year, it's remarkably quite strong. And I think that the finance committee did a great job. And considering where we are, where we could have been, it could have been a lot worse. And so I commend the town manager and I commend the finance committee for putting together a strong budget, as well as the different departments to being as lean as they possibly can. It was one of the leanest years on record, to the best of my knowledge.
All right, thank you, Rick. Next up for this question will be Gardner Trask. Gardner, we're ready to go, so take it away.
Sure. Obviously, I've been walking the walk. I understand the effect of the COVID on the town budget. As a matter of fact, we've revised budget income expectations 3 times before we went to craft the budget that's gone through the selectmen and the FinCom. That income is lost. We can't control or we can't force income, but what we can do is control costs. So we've lost the hotel and motel taxes for the last year, but we designed specifically the budget not to be dependent on the core budget on those taxes. So we have the ability to work with what some might consider discretionary spending. We might have a fire truck extend another year into service as long as it's safe. We may forego a capital project or at least push it off. The DPW has been high on the list of being redone, and we may have to push that off a year. So we fully understand that when the income drops, we have to tighten our belts, and some of the plans we made won't come to fruition in the time we want it to. So we look at it almost every meeting. We have something that we have to decide: do we go forward with, and do we have the money to do so? Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Gardner. Final answer for this question will be Matthew Duggan. Matthew, we're ready when you are. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. So I think 1 year into this, I'm surprised that we're actually doing as well as we are. A year ago when we had the finance committee meetings, it seemed to be kind of an unclear feeling about what was happening. We saw high unemployment rates here in Massachusetts. We saw the state have significant decreases in both sales and income taxes, but we seem to have not, Danvers per se has not been impacted directly by some of that. That said, we do have stabilization funds and rainy day funds that would allow us to weather any type of need for makeup cash. I know that home sales and values here in Danvers are very strong, and that is a benefit in terms of property tax revenue, so that's not a concern. One point is the American Rescue Plan that was just passed by Congress last month, the 1.9 trillion bill. The Massachusetts Municipal Association predicts $8 million of that will come directly to Danvers for infrastructure improvements. So things look good for us at the moment, I believe. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Matthew. The next question, Aaron, will be question number 3. And as a reminder for our candidates, the order for this question will be Rick Bettencourt, Gardner Trask, Matthew Duggan, and then Tim Donahue. So Aaron, when you're ready, go for it.
Yeah, so the Beverly Regional Airport is in the midst of developing a 20-year master plan. What do you see the town's role in both the process and the overall growth of the project?
Unfortunately, Danvers got a
I'm sorry,
bad
Rick,
rap.
just one moment. I just want to make sure we start the timer on time. Sorry.
Yeah, good.
All right, ready when you
Sorry
are.
about
Thank you.
that.
No worries.
Okay. Hey, Danvers I think Danvers got a bad deal when back in the day when we negotiated with the Beverly Airport, the city of Beverly, Wenham, and Danvers. We have two Beverly Air Commission representatives on that committee. The strategic plan, the Danvers Select Board in the town of Danvers has very little legal or regulatory oversight on that particular issue that's going on there. As someone that lives in Precinct 5, and I knowingly bought here in Precinct 5, and knowing that the airport was there, and the 927 runway goes right in front of my neighbor across the street. So what we can do as a community, and I'm 100% against the strategic plan that Beverly Airport is putting in place, but FAA is overseeing that and has the authority to do so. I know they're doing a noise topography study as we speak right now. I'm not sure when the result, I've asked when to let me know or let us know when the results will be in. And once that happens, once we have some noise topography studies, I think it'll give Danvers constituents in our precinct and those that abut the airport a little bit more teeth in the fight, so to speak, to try to make or ask for some concessions or whatnot. But we have definitely seen increase in touch and goes. We've seen increase in traffic, increase in lower takeoff. They're not taking off as elevation wise as much as they should. So I'd love to see Danvers get some more tax revenue from them over there. I know that they're making a pretty penny on the gas that they sell, the JP4, JP8. I'm not sure which one it is. So I think Danvers, the constituents need to be louder and come together and fight a little bit harder.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Next for this question will be Gardner Trask. Gardner, we're ready over here, so we can go ahead.
Sure, thank you very much. Well, I'm happy to speak to this. Just to clear up some misconception, Danvers didn't negotiate for its part in this Beverly Airport representation. The Navy, at the end of the war, remanded the property back to Danvers, and the mix of Danvers, Wenham, and Beverly representation was dictated by the Navy. The taxes we receive are also dictated by the state. So there's a couple of misconceptions about who has control over those. But I was proud to serve on the Airport Commission as a Danvers representative for 4 years. As a matter of fact, that plaque up there is a thank you from the Airport Commission for 4 years of service from 2002 to 2006. There are things that the town can do. There are things that I did when I was on there. We developed a noise abatement program. We made it more transparent for making complaints about the noise. But we have to understand also that there are limitations. It's a federal highway system, just like the highways Route 1. And while Danvers Police can patrol that, they can't stop certain traffic simply because we don't want loud trucks to go through our town in the evening. So a select board member needs to know the history of how we got there and what our limitations are and work to the betterment of the community within that framework. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Gardner. Next up for this question will be Matthew Duggan, and Matthew, on our end, we are all set, so you can go when you're ready.
Okay, thank you. I did attend the Airport Commission presentation at the Select Board recently. I'm not really very familiar with the existing plan and what the restrictions are. I know firsthand about the noise, though. I'm on the apex of touch and goes here at Plains Park. So especially in the summertime, that can be quite annoying. But to Gardner's point, it's really an FAA issue, I think, for once the planes leave the airport and they're in the air, then the commission no longer has any type of control over them. I do think that there needs to be a more comprehensive effort on the part of the town to have some say in the noise abatements, especially with some of these larger craft, these jets that take off that really are, you can almost feel them. And I feel for the people that live over in Woodvale that have to tolerate that noise over their heads. So I think the Danvers is on the right track for having more input into this 20-year plan, and I think that it's something that the select board should ensure is includes everyone in town.
Thank you, Matthew. Last for this question will be Tim Donahue. So Tim, we are ready here, so you can begin when you're ready. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you, Greg. So I was very lucky to be asked by my neighborhood to represent them at the master plan meetings, both the virtual one and the in-person one. My neighborhood was having a huge issue with the touch and goes constantly turning and banking right over our houses about every 90 seconds all summer long last year. Very difficult thing for our neighborhood, and a lot of the 35-year residents were expressing that it went from a peaceful neighborhood to one that they just couldn't be a part of anymore, and they needed something to change. Nobody wanted to leave their house. Everybody wanted to stay where they were. They just wanted their quality of life back. So they contacted me. I made a few phone calls to find out what we could do, went to the meeting. We all just expressed as clear as we could how things have changed, and we were just asking for that change to be recognized and go back to how it was. So in communicating that change and asking for balance to come back, we were able to see a slight change. We're still hoping for more, but it seems like they are banking in 3 different places instead of always over our house. So the important thing is I would like to be there for anybody as a representative to say what needs to be said. And I believe our town could do a little bit more for these things. We of course need the airport. Nobody wants to see it expand to the point where we can't live here anymore. So having a good voice is very important.
All right, great. Thank you, Tim. So for the next question, Erin, this will be question number 4 of the evening. So take it away. Thank you.
So this past fall, Danvers became divided when town manager Steve Bartha requested that a thin blue line flag be removed from a town fire truck. Some members of the community argued that the flag was expressing support for local law enforcement, while others said displaying the flag was insensitive to minorities and other members of the community, especially after the immediate aftermath of the murder of George Floyd. What do you think the select board can do to unite these two factions of the town? And do you think the conversation sparked by the murder of George Floyd will continue to influence local politics and residents' relationships with police?
Thank you very much, Erin. And just as a reminder for our candidates, we're cycling through. So if the order for this question will actually be the same order as the introductory statements, which will be Gardner, Matthew, Tim, and then Rick. So Gardner, you're up first. Whenever you're ready, you can go ahead.
Thank you very much. Obviously, when the decision was made, it became controversial. It didn't have to be. This was a personnel issue that someone made public for their own agenda. And the fact of the matter is, selectmen have to understand that they serve the entire town, not just one position or the other. And when a number of people in this town said that that flag offended them, it wasn't a matter of whether we should have it or not have it. It was a matter of whether we should have it on public property. I defend anybody's right to fly that flag on their boat or car or boat or car or truck or on their lawn. That's a personal expression. But we have to be sensitive to the fact that when you put something on public property that all taxpayers pay for, it shouldn't offend a large number of those taxpayers. This was not just a fringe element that was saying, I don't like that. When we got to the public hearings and the letters that went to the emails that went to the manager, at least 50% of the people said they felt what he did was right, and I voted to back him on that. This is a social issue, and that flag should not be flown on public property. Do what you want on your own time, on your own property, that's up to you, but not on public property where it affects everybody who is a taxpayer. A taxpayer should not be offended by what's put on there if they're paying the taxes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gardner. Next up for this question will be Matthew Duggan. Matthew, whenever you're ready, you can go ahead.
Thank you. So this is a very divisive issue that tore the town apart, and it probably could have been handled a little bit differently at the time. We know, or at least I think, that it was part of the national discussion or debate that was going on. There was a large amount of decisiveness coming out of Washington, and I think this kind of just played into that. The flag means different things to different people, and I get that. So I have a neighbor that flies the flag on his front porch. If you want to fly, we saw it at Chancellorsville with the Proud Boys. So we know that some people in our town see it as a symbol of hatred, and it's really doesn't belong on public property. I think that we saw it being supportive of law and order, which is, that's a righteous thing to say. But when the people that were involved with demonstrations in town with the flag, some of whom actually sent death threats to the children of the town manager. So that's a contradictory message, and it really did not reflect well on Danvers.
All right, thank you, Matthew. Your time's up, but I will remind all the candidates that if you do run out of time on your answer, I do encourage you, if you have something else to say on that matter, just to pick it up in your concluding remarks. So next up for this question will be Tim Donahue. Tim, we're ready here, so you can go when you're ready. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. So the thin blue line flag was probably the biggest controversy that I can remember in Danvers. I'm a little embarrassed for this town and how things were handled from all sides. There was too much hate going back and forth. I stood up at the first meeting and I was in support of keeping the flags in town property. I then watched the back and forth. I heard the opinions of everybody, and I watched the flag become a national symbol, not what was originated to be. So yes, the flag did change from what its origin was. I would still like to view that flag for what it was designed, a memorial for fallen police officers. But that's not what it is anymore. As much as I wanted to see that stay how I thought it would be, it's not what it is. I support the town body in making the decision. This discussion has gone on for a long time, and we've all heard every aspect of it. Nobody can tell you that flag means something other than what it was and what it is, because we've all had this discussion. I'd like to move forward from this. I'd like to hit the issue for what it is, and that is there are systemic racism problems in this country that need to be fixed. As far as Danvers goes, as we heard last week, our police department is already doing great, and the mandates from the state aren't going to have much effect on us because we're already accredited. We're already doing the training and the service that is necessary. And I think we've grown, but we could have done better.
I think you get your timer too. So unfortunately, I'll have to cut you off there. But again, you could pick it up if you choose in your concluding statement. So finally, for this question, we have our next candidate, which is Rick Bettencourt. So Rick, whenever you're ready, go ahead.
So I was intimately involved in the entire aspect of that. And the first things first is the town, and in my opinion, the town manager was wrong in the manner in which they handled it with the chairman of the Board of Select. The town manager works for the Board of Selectmen, and a social issue as sensitive as that, there should have been a conversation prior to the decision to immediately remove the flag, which everybody's acting like this was going to be a permanent thing. It wasn't. It was going to be a temporary piece on a fire truck to honor Michael Chestnut, who was killed in the line of duty. And as a law enforcement family, where I came from, that flag means something very importantly to us. And I understand our marginalized population, and I totally get that. And I respect them, and I'll have an open conversation about that anytime, but this was not going to be a permanent thing. This was going to be a temporary piece. It was a flag flying around to every single firefighter to honor Michael Chestnut, who was killed tragically. If you knew the story of that, it was terrible how he died. As far as the community division goes, I think a lot of what has happened is a media-driven narrative on an issue that I don't truly believe this symbol is now hatred. Every single flag, every Marine Corps, Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, the American flag, many flags, the Pride flag has flown at various at various protests and whatnot that didn't sit well with other people. So to simply pick one thing out and say it's bad, it isn't. And I have the stats to prove that it's not. And I'm looking forward to sitting down with anybody and have an open, honest conversation about that. And I thank you to the town for the committee that you guys just put together.
All right, thank you, Rick. So we're going to move on to the next question. Thanks so much, everyone. Aaron, this will be question number 5. So the order for this one, we'll start with Matthew, move on to Tim, Rick, and then Gardner. Thank you.
So housing prices have skyrocketed in the past year as demand increased and housing supply decreased. Do you think this is an issue that will continue to impact Danvers and the North Shore, even as Boston and other cities recover from the economic impact of COVID-19? Should the Select Board be considering more ways to increase the housing stock in town? What can or should the Select Board be doing to continue to make Danvers an affordable, desirable option family?
Yes, and I think this is really a nationwide issue with there's not enough housing stock, and it's really very evident in Eastern Massachusetts, and certainly in Danvers. We see home values continue to increase, and the homes that are being sold seem to me outside the range of what a young family could afford. We see condos sell for over $600,000 a piece. And the real issue here is the lack of affordable housing. And that doesn't mean low cost housing. It just means that it's a state formula that a family of 4, maybe $80,000 a year can afford to purchase. So we see large developments, and I'll use the application for 152 Endicott Street as an example. That's currently before the ZBA, the Zoning Board of Appeals, for 15 variances, over 200 housing units. And when they appeared before the ZBA, they only were agreeable to 12% affordable. I think it should be 20%. When you need variances, you should be providing affordable housing that's going to keep us above the 10% threshold.
All right, thank you very much, Matthew. We're just going to reset the timer really quickly on our end. Looks like it's good to go. So Tim, whenever you're ready, you can take it away. Thank you.
Thank you. So the nature of housing is it's naturally trying to expand. We're not reducing the population anywhere in this country. We're increasing everywhere, and Danvers is no exception to that. But we got to think about what is best for Danvers. So when we're looking at developments, are they the best thing for that area? Such as the Beaverbrook development going on right now. I know that when that was presented, there were very oddly shaped lots that they were trying to put in to add another lot to that development. To me, that didn't make sense. I believe they did not get that variance. So that's a good thing. That's something we need to look at. Of course, Endicott Street is a big deal. 200 units for housing anywhere is going to have an impact in Danvers, traffic, infrastructure, everything. So we need to make sure we're ready and able to do anything, and we're not reaching beyond what we can just so that we can get more. We don't need always to have more if it's not going to fit that footprint. We need to look at what our neighbors are doing. Ipswich has gone through a lot right now, and they've got a huge 40B development going at the former Bruni's property, and that is having a very significant impact on the town. And there's a lot being done, and they're not sure if it's possible to stop it because it's already gone too far. So what we need to do is take a close look at everything that every development that they're asking for in Danvers and make sure it's right for us. Thanks, Greg.
All right, thank you very much, Tim. Next up for this question will be Rick Bettencourt. Rick, we're just recent. Looks like we're good to go. Rick, when you're ready, take it away.
I've been in the mortgage business for almost 20 years. I deal with this every single day. I'm also on the Government Affairs Committee for the North Shore Realtors, and we have these conversations about the various affordable percentages in the various towns and the ordinances that you're trying to put in to increase the number of affordable units. It's very difficult for Danvers to create more affordable units. There's cost, materials. Just the cost of lumber has gone up so substantially that to increase the amount of affordable units in a particular development, the builder may not jump on that, or developer may not jump on that because it just won't be profitable for the overall business. Now, with that being said, I'm incredibly sensitive to builders trying to overdevelop or continuously go before the Board of Selectmen or the Planning Board to ask for variances on different projects. And we see that. Now, what's nice about the Chapter 40R that we just passed with the Maple Street overlay is we're going to have a mixed-use residential field down there. And there's going to be there's always an affordable component in that particular overlay. The problem is we cannot stop the increasing market appreciation of the properties that we see on a regular basis. And Danvers Select Board or the elected officials in our town or the town manager, that's something you can't stop. One thing that we can do is try to be continuously fiscal conservative to maintain that tax levy, which is 90% of our income, as level as we possibly can. But as far as units, increasing units and affordability, we've got to be mindful so we don't have Chapter 40Bs, which then turn into a very ugly project in most cases.
Thank you, Rick. Last up for this question will be Gardner Trask. Gardner, we're ready, so go ahead.
Great, thank you, Aaron. You're right. Danvers is a desirable town, and the housing prices are an offset of supply and demand. COVID, for all it's done to harm us, has also shown that the people can work outside of a brick and mortar building and do their work successfully. A lot of this growth is being driven by people who say, hey, I can live 30 miles away from my job and still be fully employed and do my work well. A statement was made, and I just want to correct it. Selectmen don't grant any variances. That's the ZBA and the Planning Board to do that. But it might surprise you, this community has only grown by 1,000 people in the past 10 years, and those stats are in the back of a recent document in our town audit. What can a selectman do? I was incensed by the last 40B we had at Swing Away, and so I started working on and crafted inclusionary zoning language by which developments of a certain size have to provide affordable housing. I work on the Affordable Housing Trust and been the chairman of that trust for over 10 years. 12.5% of affordable housing gets us above the DHI, the SHI limits. And downtown 40R, you have a minimum of 20%, all because of the work of the Affordable Housing Trust to try to make Danvers affordable. When we say affordable, we don't mean low income. Affordability rates for a two-family person is an $80,000 income because we're in the Boston marketplace. So we've been working hard on it.
All right, thank you, Gardner. Just a programming update. So we'll have two more questions before we move to the concluding statements. So this question, just for the order, we'll start with Tim, go to Rick, Gardner, and then Matthew. So Erin, whenever you're ready, go for it.
How do you plan to involve local residents in the decision-making process? And what is the importance of resident participation in local government?
All right, thank you, Tim. We're ready for you. Thanks.
So I plan to involve local residents by simply being here for you. I am one of you. I'm here every day. I'm in town every day. I'm talking to residents every day. I visit with residents every day. To me, I believe it's important to be a part of the town in order to represent the town. Every candidate here is obviously very committed, does a lot of everything they can to support what they want to see. But it's when people ask me to act that I come forward. It's when people voice their opinion to me that I listen. And I always make myself available to be there. If I couldn't, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm trying to do now, and that's be your representative on the Board of Selectmen. That's about all I got, is I'm just here, one of you, for you.
Thank you, Tim. Next up for this question will be Rick Bettencourt. Everything's reset over here. So Rick, sorry, go ahead when you're ready. Thanks.
Yep. One of the ideas that I've got, and I think it'd be a great idea, is a buddy of mine was a selectman up in Kennebunkport, Maine, I believe, or Wells, Maine. Anyways, great idea. Two things that I picked up from him that I believe wholeheartedly on is term limits. Number one, get in, get out. That's important. But two, I'd love to bring to Danvers a selectman Saturday. Once a month, have one or two of the selectmen go downtown to City Hall once we're back open, right? Go down to Town Hall, have coffee, donuts, and just sit there and be engaging with people on a non-formal basis. We're not talking about agenda items. There's no open meeting law violation or whatnot, but just talk and have a communication with people. When I ran in 2012 for selectmen, I said that there was a communication issue. That same issue was brought up in 15 and 18 that there was. And then subsequently to that, we saw the Danvers institute their notification system, which has been phenomenal. And I thank the town for doing that. But I find that there's a better way. There's other ways that we can be more engaging with the community and get the residents out there. We need to tell people, listen, here's a list, like a regular notification or emails or websites or whatever we can come up with to let them know all the different committees that we have, all the different opportunities that they have, and move forward and be a part of the town's sort of functionality of what's going on every single day and what happens at town. But I think I'd love to find a way that we could do a selectman Saturday, just have coffee, donuts, let people know we're there for an hour, come on down, ask a question, and we can't answer it, we'll write it down and we'll address it in an agenda item at our next select board meeting.
All right, thank you very much. Next up for this question will be Gardner Trask. Gardner, we are ready, so go when you are.
Sure, just hit on mute. So my phone number, my email address, my personal address is publicized all over the web pages. People know how to reach me, and they do on a regular basis. And I encourage that. I look forward to it. People know they can call me, and if I don't get the phone call right away, I'll answer them within a day. When I first became a member of the select board, we instituted, and I support heartily, the beginning every meeting after the Pledge of Allegiance with new business. A member can anybody in the community can bring new business to the selectmen for the first time. We'll hear what they have to say. We'll digest it and work on it. We may not render a decision that night because we'll obviously have to do a little bit of homework, but every citizen has the opportunity to bring new business before the board at every single meeting. I sit downtown regularly. I have a favorite coffee shop people see me at. They know where I frequent some of the local social clubs. I'm a fixture around town. It would be hard not to bump into me at some point post-COVID. We also have the talent pool that the town manager started to encourage people to sign up for future committee openings. And someone spoke about term limits. My term limit is, if I don't do a good job, you can vote me out. This is not national politics. We don't have party affiliations in our elections. We don't have PAC money. This is about the community volunteer, me, working on behalf of you, the citizens. And if I don't do a good job, my term limit is the next election. Thank you.
Thank you, Gardner. Final response for this question will be from Matthew Duggan. Matthew, we are ready when you are.
Sure, thank you. So local participation in anything is always a challenge, especially with government. We know that people have many conflicting events going on in their lives. Kudos to DCAT for always just broadcasting just about every public meeting, selectmen, conservation, etc. And then they've also branched out to do YouTube live feeds for people that have cut the cord. I in precinct 1, I am constantly getting questions and comments from people who reach out to me either through my email or by phone, or they even come to my door. So sometimes they ask me to speak for them at public hearings that are not comfortable. I like the idea of Rick's providing snacks on a Saturday. That's a definite way to drive participation, I think. So I'm all for that. But again, it's difficult to get people out unless they're directly impacted. It's hard to get them. All you can really do is provide the opportunity, I think, and then we do that well, I think, here in Danvers.
All right, thank you, Matthew. So we're going to move on to the final question now from Erin Nolan from the Salem News, and after that we will have the concluding remarks. So just a programming note on this. The way it worked out, Rick, you're actually going to start you're going to have the first answer for this question. You're actually also going to start the concluding remarks when it gets to that point, because we're going to flip the introductory order. So if anyone's wondering why we're not flipping on the last question, that's why. So Erin, we're ready for you. Thank you. Oh, there you go.
So we've already discussed a couple of challenges that are a direct result of the COVID-19 pandemic, and whoever is elected to the select board will face the unprecedented challenge of serving the town as it's emerging from this year-long pandemic. What are some of the other challenges that you see the town facing directly resulted from the pandemic, and how do you think the board should tackle those problems?
Well, I think that's your...
Sorry, I just want to make sure we're good to go.
We're good.
All right, thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
Good. Oh, wait. Go ahead. You can say, okay. That's a great question, Erin. There is a underlying concern of our student population and the mental, physical, emotional impact that are going to be a result of this particular pandemic. It's going to be unquantifiable what the damage has been done to our kids and our students. I think as a select board, I want to work closer than we ever have with our school committee to ensure that our student body comes out of this the way they should be. They've already canceled MCAS. The MCAS has been done for this year. We have students that are experiencing higher relapses of opioids, depression, suicide tendencies. So our students are our most important, valuable resource as a country moving forward. And we're not talking about them enough. And Danvers has an average school system, phenomenal teachers, but we need to do a better job with our school system moving forward. And we've got to laser focus on our students to make sure that they're getting the education that they need, to getting the tools and resources that they need, that our special education our students are getting what they need. So I think they're going to be the unsung heroes, or they're going to be what we got to focus on very, very carefully moving forward, because I've heard hundreds of stories as I've been campaigning since December of parents just having a hard time with their students in this pandemic. So I want to find out more ways that we can help more kids come out of the pandemic.
Thank you, Rick. Next up for this question will be Gardner. So Gardner, we'll reset over here, so you can go for it.
Sure. Thank you very much. I already outlined some of the ways we've been working to help the businesses return from the pandemic. Obviously, we have to be sensitive to the needs of the citizenry, and we continue to do so by foregoing, when we collect certain fees. We've already recognized that people can't get to town hall, and we've foregone any kind of penalty on late fees on many of the items that we do for taxation or licensing. Rick talked about working the school and the children, and he's absolutely right. The children have to be addressed, and the lost year that they've had and the lost social activities they've had have to be addressed. But again, a select board member has a lane. We stay in our lane. It is actually illegal for the select board to interject into the school committee. One elected board cannot tell another elected board what to do. So I'm not unsympathetic to what's happening in the schools, But I look at those professionals. I look at the school committee to make those decisions and directions. That's outside our lane. And so I want school committee to tell us what they're going to do. We need to continue to capitalize on any and every grant or federal government relief that we can, and recoup some of the losses that we've had as a town in expenses. I'm out of time. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Gardner. Next up for this question, the final question, will be Matthew Duggan.
All right, thank you. So I don't think we've really turned the corner on this pandemic. This is the new normal for us, but I definitely would like to see the select board be a little bit more aggressive in getting the town offices opened up. It's almost as if they kind of enjoy the fact that there's a disconnect between the populace and and the town services. I mentioned that it's the new normal. Until we get the herd immunity, we really have to continue to be safe. But we can, it does seem at times to be a little excessive. When I go to the market basket, there's quite a few people in close proximity to each other. So I don't know why you can't go to the library if, if you maintain your distance and keep wearing the mask. Fortunately, we're getting real professional guidance from Washington now. We all realize that this pandemic would have had less impact if it was addressed early on a year ago. And so fortunately, we're getting good guidance from the CDC and Dr. Fauci, and hopefully that continues, and that we all remain safe and that we don't let our guard down. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Tim, you'll have the final answer to this final question. Thank you.
Thank you much. And yes, we've all faced a lot of challenges from the pandemic. Personally, I still have a foggy head from the second Moderna shot, and I'm looking forward to the point where we have enough of a herd immunity that we can actually be doing things that we want to do. We are overcoming this pandemic, and I can't wait to a point where we can be fully open, where we can eliminate the restrictions we have. But there's a lot more that's going to follow that. Right now, last week, 2 weeks ago, we got a notice saying that private employers were going up 1,600% in our solvency fund contributions for unemployment. This is just the beginning of what we're going to see for everything that we've had to do over the past year. It's going to be challenging. Restaurants could take forever to recover from the losses that they've had. Many have just been pulling money out of their pockets, borrowing money, and doing everything they can just to stay alive. Some haven't even made it. So we have to be aware of the business in towns, the challenges they've faced, and be ready to take on what's coming in the future, not only as a town, but be aware of what's going on for the townspeople. I'd love it to be in this position to help you guys get through this. I'm going to go through it myself. I've got children here. I've got a business here. I've got friends, family, customers here. It's important to stay safe, but it's also important that we do return to normal life. Thanks.
Thank you, Tim. Last up is the concluding remarks section. So first, thank you again to Aaron. Those are great questions. I really think it helped the people see who the candidates are and what their platforms are. So thanks again to Aaron Nolan from the Salem News. We're going to move into the concluding remarks, and it's going to be the opposite order of the introductory remarks all the way back an hour ago at the beginning. So the order for that will be Rick Bettencourt, Tim Donahue, Matthew Duggan, and then Gardner Trask. So it looks like the clock is set on our end. So Rick, if you're ready, you may begin. Thank you.
Greg, thank you very much. And I want to say, Greg, thank you for putting this on. And DCAT, Aaron, phenomenal questions. I really appreciate you put a lot of time, effort, thought into that. It's obvious. And thank you very much. I look forward to working with you in the upcoming years as one of the Board of Selectmen. I pray the constituents see that in me. And what I'd like, and I talk to you all, Danvers residents, as you watch this debate and this forum. I'm honest, I'm open, I'm transparent, I'm a good communicator. And my intention here is to take the feedback from the people and be a good listener. Find out what is your pain points, what do you need changes, what do you need to get done. If there's an issue, I'm going to be there to try to find a way to find an amicable solution for all sides. And when we speak about working with other departments, we're not talking about going in different lanes and breaking laws or things of that nature. It's about cohesiveness and working together as a community to find ways for the betterment of the community, for the betterment of the constituents, and find a way for the betterment of the people as a whole. My professional and my personal experience is going to be an absolute 100% asset for the board. My fiscal abilities, where I've spent time in Washington, I've spent time in the State House, I've served on government affairs committees, I've served as a president for a national nonprofit as a 501c6, I've served on 3 different boards here in Danvers, DEEP, Danvers Cable Access Television, and the library trustee. So I understand the town's workings. I've been very, very cognizant about our budget. I hope you've seen through this debate, this forum tonight, that I've read the budget. I understand the line items that we're looking at, the sensitivity moving forward coming out of the pandemic, and what we need to do moving forward to ensure that we get back to where we were. And I'm very excited. I think we are going to get back to where we were. The numbers are up, and I think we're going to see our revenues increase. And I think after a 2-year period, maybe 3-year period, Danvers is going to be back to where it was, 100% gangbusters and doing great things. And I hope I'm one of the candidates on that board to help you guys get to where you need to be. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick. So next up for the concluding remarks will be Tim Donahue. Tim, we are ready for you when you're ready. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Danvers is a wonderful town. I love living here. I love everything about it. And I would love the opportunity to be a leader for you. I've shown that I can do many things around here. I've been to the budgetary meetings, I've spoken. I've been to several selectmen meetings, I've spoken. But it's almost always when my neighborhood has asked me to represent them. So coming up, you're going to be making 2 votes. There are 2 people running for 2 seats open for selectmen right now, and 4 great candidates. I want you to think about who you want and who you want to sit next to that person, how they're going to work together, and what they're going to bring to the town. I would love to bring you a level-headed view. I am easy to talk to. I listen to what you have to say. I am looking forward to overcoming the restrictions that we're facing right now. I'm looking forward to taking on the challenges to overcome those restrictions and seeing what we can do, which will be best for the people in the town, the businesses in the town, and the children in the town. On May 4th is our election. I'm asking you to get out and vote. Vote for a positive change. Vote for your tax money to be spent responsibly. Vote to support your town employees from somebody that's experienced in management and ownership. Vote for an open-minded voice. And on May 4th, please get out and vote for Tim Donahue for the Danvers Select Board.
Great. Thank you, Tim. Next up for the concluding remarks will be Matthew Duggan. Matthew, we are ready on our end, so you can start when you're ready.
Okay, great. Thank you. So first, thank you to Salem News and the DCAT for providing opportunity at this forum for everyone to speak to the great questions. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the program, I've been honored to serve as a town meeting member here in Danvers for the past 15 years, and I'm asking for your support on Tuesday, May 4th. For the past half hour or past hour, we've been discussing the challenges that are facing the community and how we need to work together in a thoughtful and collaborative way to address those. So our current select board, they've been working together to ensure that the COVID-19 impact has been minimized to the extent possible. And if elected, I pledge to continue that collective approach, that working together as a community, we can restore the normalcy that each of us crave. So looking to the future, some of the couple of items that are need to be addressed, I think the biggest one is the oversized development that's occurring throughout town. Lots are being split up. Developers are extracting large amounts of value out of the property, and that's not really contributing to the quality of life here in Danvers. So the select board, as a member, if I was elected, I would work to bring back the great vibrancy in our downtown, our neighborhoods, and our schools. And we know that Danvers knows how to work together for the common good, and that we may debate the best way to solve the problems, but we always do with the best interests of town. So thank you again for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Matthew. Final remarks for the conclusion will be from Gardner Trask. So Gardner, we are ready. You can begin when you're ready.
Thank you very much. I want to thank DCAT and the Salem News for the opportunity to meet and debate. It has been a great privilege and a point of pride of mine to have served Danvers for 2 decades. And make no mistake, experience does matter. In those 15 years, I've learned 3 very important lessons. Lesson 1 about being a selectman is focus on Danvers. Tip O'Neill was fond of saying all politics is local, and nowhere is that more true than in town. This election is not about state issues or national issues that do not reflect on this community. A select board member needs to understand their laser focus has to be what they can do for this town. Lesson 2, focus on all of Danvers. This role is to protect and evolve the entire town, not one specific particular interest group, not just one specific neighborhood, and not just one specific profession. And lesson 3, a select board member is not elected to represent their own opinion. A select board member must vote for the best interests of everyone in town. They have to set aside their own personal beliefs and positions and agendas. A member has to step outside themselves and recognize how other citizens feel about the issues and actions and consider their viewpoint when making decisions. A select board member must be open-minded, not narrowly blinded. As you go to the polls, I ask, do you think Danvers is a stable, desirable, well-run community? And I'm thankful that all the other candidates have said so. And do you want that proven leadership to continue to guide that stability? I respectfully ask for one of your votes on May 4th, or if you have the opportunity, early voting on April 24th. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Gardner, and thanks to everyone on the call. Thank you to all the candidates. I know it can be challenging to put yourself out there, and I appreciate your transparency and your willingness to come on camera and answer questions, to be put on the spot. It's not easy, but it is a really great service to the voters, and it'll really help them make an informed decision coming up on May 4th. Aaron Nolan from the Salem News, thanks again for your questions. It was greatly appreciated, and it really helped drive this whole forum. So I'm going to say goodbye to you all now, and I'm going to turn towards the studio camera for a few programming notes before we leave for the evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So just a quick reminder, the Danvers town election is coming up. It's on Tuesday, May 4th from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. That's when the polls are open at Danvers High School. The election results will be available that night. We'll be live on the air as soon as we can get the unofficial results. We'll be on Facebook Live, so please follow our page at DCAT Danvers. That way you'll get a notification and you'll know when the results are in, and you can see which of the 2 seats for this board have been filled and who they went to. I'd also like to have a programming note and let you know that coming up on this Tuesday, April 27th, we will be doing another candidate forum, and that will be for the school committee. So if you're interested in that race, that is for 2 seats as well. There will be 4 candidates on the ballot, and they will all be here or on Zoom taking part in the forum, and you'll get to know them a little bit better before you do go to the ballot and cast your vote. So thank you very much, Danvers. Have a great evening. Have a great weekend. Goodbye.